For 20 years, I believed my wife had lied to me about one thing. I was wrong. She had spent 2 decades protecting me from a truth so devastating that it changed everything I thought I knew about my family. And by the time I discovered it, she was already gone. If you're watching this, stay until the end, because what I uncovered started with a single forgotten letter, and ended with an entire town learning a secret that had been buried for decades. My name is Daniel. When my father died, I expected grief. What I didn't expect were questions. He'd always been a quiet man. Reserved. Honest. The kind of father who believed actions mattered more than words. Even during his final days, he refused to explain why he became distant every year on the same date. He simply smiled and said, "One day, you'll understand." 2 years passed. Life slowly moved forward. My wife, Emma, became my anchor. She carried me through the darkest days after my father's funeral. Whenever I asked about old family photographs or strange stories from the past, she'd gently change the subject. I thought she was trying to protect me from more pain. I never imagined she was hiding something. Then one rainy afternoon, a yellowed envelope arrived. It had my father's handwriting. The postmark showed it had somehow been lost for 2 years. Inside was only one sentence. "Trust Sarah. She knows the truth I never could tell you." I stared at the page for several minutes. Sarah? I didn't know anyone named Sarah. Or at least, I thought I didn't. Emma's face turned pale the moment she read the letter. She whispered. It finally came. My heart froze. What do you mean, finally? She couldn't answer. Instead, tears filled her eyes. That night she admitted something that shattered my trust. She had known about the letter. For 20 years. Not the exact letter itself. But she knew my father had written something before he died. She believed it would eventually reach me. She had hoped. It never would. I couldn't understand. Why would my own wife hide something connected to my father? What else wasn't she telling me? The next morning I left alone to find Sarah. The only clue was an address hidden inside one of my father's old books. It led to a small coastal town where nearly everyone seemed to recognize my father's name. But every time I asked questions, people looked uncomfortable. Almost afraid. Finally, an elderly librarian pointed me toward a woman in her late 40s. Sarah. She looked at me with tears before I even introduced myself. I've been waiting for you. She opened an old wooden box. Inside were photographs, newspaper clippings, and dozens of letters. Every one of them written by my father. For hours she told me a story I'd never heard. Years before I was born, a terrible accident claimed the life of a young woman named Emma. The entire town blamed one man. My father. According to everyone, he had driven the car. The guilt destroyed his reputation forever. But Sarah insisted the story was false. Someone else had been driving. My father accepted the blame to protect that person. I couldn't believe it. Everything pointed toward my father living a lie for decades. Then I discovered another letter hidden beneath the photographs. Its contents changed everything. The real driver wasn't my father. It wasn't even someone in our family. It was the town's respected mayor. The evidence had been covered up. Witnesses had been pressured into silence. My father sacrificed his own name because exposing the truth would have destroyed dozens of innocent families connected to the case. The villain I'd hated all my life had actually been the hero. I returned home furious. I confronted Emma. Why didn't you tell me? She quietly handed me her own journal. Inside was a confession. She had discovered the truth shortly after we married 20 years earlier. She wanted to tell me countless times. But my father begged her not to. He believed the truth would only fill my heart with hatred. He wanted me to remember him as an ordinary father. Not as a man destroyed by someone else's crime. Before I could process everything, Emma collapsed. An undiagnosed illness she'd hidden for months finally caught up with her. A few weeks later, she was gone. Her final words echoed in my mind. "Promise me, tell the truth, but don't let it become revenge." Keeping that promise wasn't easy. With Sarah's help, we organized every document, every letter, every witness statement. The evidence was undeniable. At a public town meeting attended by reporters, residents, and local officials, the entire truth was finally revealed. The mayor's decades-old deception was exposed before everyone. My father's name was finally cleared. The room fell silent. Not because people were shocked. Because they realized an innocent man had carried their blame for 20 years. Afterward, Sarah and I visited Emma's grave together. Neither of us spoke. We simply placed fresh flowers beside her headstone. Over the following months, we honored Emma's memory by creating a scholarship in my father's name, helping families who had experienced loss. Working together slowly healed wounds we thought would never close. Friendship replaced grief. Laughter returned where silence once lived. Years later, Sarah and I married. Not because we forgot Emma, but because her courage, kindness, and love had brought two broken people together. Even now, every anniversary, we visit both graves. We tell our children the same lesson my father spent his life trying to teach. Sometimes the truth is hidden behind years of pain and misunderstanding. Forgiveness can heal wounds that anger never could. The people we lose may leave this world, but their love can still guide us toward hope, healing, and a new beginning. So let me ask you. If someone you loved kept a painful secret to protect you, would you forgive them after learning the truth? Tell me your answer in the comments below.